What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video today. I want to talk about a little bit of competition, right? We talked and mentioned in the OTA video about how there are a lot of different positions on this team where there's a lot of competition, right? This team continues to get deeper. The drafts have continued to get deeper with talent, and the Colts seemingly being able to find talent. Now, the thing is, the talent has to be able to stay on the field, right? Last year's draft class, a lot of those guys missed a lot of time. So we're getting a lot of those guys back this year. We need all of our young guys to be able to stay on the field. There's a lot of potential on this team. And of course, with the secondary, the way the secondary is being talked about, that's where I want to start is the competition in the secondary, the different things that we're looking at. We're talking about corners and safety. And corners, it'll be interesting to see exactly how this goes. I don't know how the competition is going to go between Dallas Flowers, Juju Brents, and Jalen Jones. Who's going to end up being the starters by the time the season starts? Okay, in OTAs, it was Juju and it was Jalen. Those were the starters with Dallas Flowers rotating in. Obviously, Kenny as slot. So will it stay that way? Will Flowers get his starting spot back? That's what we're going to be looking to in the future with this cornerback matchup. And those are the guys that we kind of know, right? Those are what we know, the people we know are going to be sticking around. It'll be interesting to see what happens behind that, right? This year we drafted Micah Abraham and Jalen Simpson. Which one of these guys is going to stick? Will they both stick? Very possible. I think they both have good ball skills, right? Jalen Simpson playing at the bigger program in college, and I think he brings good experience. But Mike Abraham is somebody that I think again could be like the successor to Kenny Moore one day. Like he reminds me a lot when you watch him on film. He looks like Isaiah Rodgers. He reminds me a lot of Isaiah Rodgers. He's just in a smaller body, smaller frame, which is why I think it would make sense for him to take over for Kenny Moore, right? Similar size to Kenny Moore, similar skill set, really good on ball defender. So I think Mike Abraham is somebody to look for, definitely making the team. And then what will his role be? Where will he fit on the depth chart whenever week one rolls around? That'll be interesting to see. But I really like Mike Abraham. Again, Jalen Simpson does bring something to the table, though. So we'll see what happens. You look beyond that at corner, you still have Amir Speed on the team. You still have Daryl Baker on the team. You still have Chris Lamons on the team. So there are a lot of guys that are still here. There are new guys coming in. The new guys pushing some of these other guys that have been in the league a few years, pushing them back. So it'll be interesting to see what the Colts decide to do. Now, last season, I'm trying to think back to last season. I think we rolled in to every week, even with the injuries. I think we were rolling into every week with 5 or 6 corners. It's just one of those. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say we had 5 most weeks. But either way this goes, the Colts at most are going to take 6 corners into a game. And if that's the case, then some of these guys that are familiar names from last season, they're probably going to be either on the practice squad or not on the team at all when it comes time to having to make cuts and getting the roster size down to 53. So we'll see what happens with the corners. But again, we kind of know who our starters are going to be at corner at this point. Like, unless we sign somebody else, we pretty much know who the 3 are that we're relying on the outside. Kenny Moore, obviously, in the slot. When you look past Kenny Moore, Mike Abraham, probably the next slot guy if I had to guess. Okay, but then you start looking at the safeties, and the safeties is the interesting position. Right now, Julian Blackman and Nick Cross are the starters for the Colts. That's the way it sits throughout OTAs. So when you look behind that, Daniel Scott is the backup strong safety, and he's making noise right now. Rodney Thomas, backup free safety, and he has plenty of starting experience in the NFL. So even though Rodney Thomas has inconsistencies, will there be a time where he's able to take over Nick Cross for free safety? Will the Colts end up deciding, after seeing Nick Cross and Rodney Thomas, will they still decide to go get a free safety? That's that's probably that's the delay on that situation. Like if I there's any guess out there for me, is that we haven't signed a free safety because they just want to see, like, has Nick Cross taken the step necessary that we wanted him to take to be able to be that guy in the back end of that defense. So, and the competition is going to get hot, okay? Because Steichen was talking about how Daniel Scott, he likes how smart he is, and he likes his communication in the back end. So if he's doing things that Nick Cross isn't, and he's able to make plays that Nick Cross isn't, maybe there's a chance that you end up with Julian Blackman as starting strong safety, and Daniel Scott ends up being the starting free safety. That's definitely a possibility. I feel like at this point we know who we're going into a season with, unless something drastic changes. But that's really the competition that we're going to be watching for, is Daniel Scott here, and will Daniel Scott be able to work his way into a lineup with Nick Cross, who has all the potential in the world, right? This guy is 22 years old, like came into the league at 20 years old. So Nick Cross, very young. Will he finally be at a point where he has developed, mentally and physically, to be able to be the guy that we know he can be? Okay, there's some people, we talked about Nick Cross not too long ago. There's some people that are down on Nick Cross, some people that think the same as me, right? A lot of potential, just got to be able to be on the field and get those reps. So we'll see what happens. He got some starting experience last year that definitely works in his favor. But if Daniel Scott continues to impress all the coaches, especially Coach Steichen, when it comes to training camp and the preseason and whatnot, if he's still making a bunch of plays, it's going to be hard. Maybe he's just a heavy rotational piece, right? Maybe we have a rotation of safeties that we go through. I don't know, but the competition for the safety position is going to get hot. That free safety position, at this point, in my opinion, would be a three-way race. Maybe other people won't consider Daniel Scott a viable option for free safety, but in my opinion, guys that help you win games, you put them on the field. So we'll see what happens. Of course, this is something we're going to monitor before training camp. We still have mini camps coming up, and then there will be a little bit of a break with nothing really happening, and then training camp there before the preseason and during the preseason. So we're going to continue to monitor all this. We're going to talk about more position battles, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified anytime any of these videos do come out. And if there's any particular situation you'd like to hear about, you let me know down in the comment section. We'll throw it into the schedule. There's going to be a dead period coming up, so gonna need your guys' help. What do you guys want to hear about over the next month and a half, 2 months? You let me know, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. Okay, and as always, of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.